This happened to me a few years ago when I was living in the UK. I was working late night shifts at a warehouse outside London, and my only way home was the last train. It was cheap, quiet, and empty, which I liked. Or at least, I used to. That night, I left work at 1:42 a.m. The air was cold, damp, and silent. When I reached the station, only one flickering light illuminated the cracked platform. My train was due in a few minutes. I leaned against a railing, scrolling through my phone, feeling the usual calm of late-night travel. Then I noticed movement. A man stepped out from behind a support pillar and stood under a weak light. I hadn't heard him arrive. He was just there, watching. His posture was relaxed, hands in his pockets. But something about the way he looked at me made my stomach tighten. I told myself I was imagining things. Late-night paranoia. I tried to ignore him, pretending to focus on my phone. But every time I glanced up, he hadn't moved. When the train arrived, I boarded quickly, hoping to lose him in the empty carriage. I chose a seat near the middle. As I settled in, I realized, with a sudden, cold dread, he was on the train too, sitting just a few rows behind me. From that moment, I felt eyes on me, a presence I couldn't shake. That's when the unease began, the kind you can feel deep in your chest. The kind that tells you something is very wrong. I tried to tell myself I was imagining things, but the feeling in my chest only grew heavier. Every time I glanced at the reflection in the dark window, I could see him, a man sitting a few rows behind, staring at me with that same blank expression, not blinking, not shifting, just watching. I shifted in my seat, trying to make it seem like I wasn't aware. I glanced at the few other passengers. They were all lost in their phones, headphones in, or staring out the window. None of them seemed to notice him or me noticing him. That made it worse. It was like I was the only one who could see him, like I was part of some twisted little game. I kept my phone in my hand, pretending to text someone, though I didn't have anyone awake at this hour. The train rattled over the tracks, but every jolt felt louder than it should, making my stomach twist. I tried moving closer to the front of the carriage. He moved too. Every subtle adjustment I made, he mirrored. It wasn't random. I could feel it. He wanted me to notice him. I couldn't tell if he was just bored, cruel, or had some other reason I didn't want to imagine. By the time the train passed through a long tunnel, the reflection in the window made him seem impossibly close. His eyes locked on mine. I realized then that getting off at my stop was no longer enough. Something about the way he moved, slow and deliberate, told me he wouldn't let this end easily. I tried to calm myself, telling my mind to focus on something else, but every clack of the train made my heart jump. I kept stealing glances at him, though I knew it wouldn't help. His eyes were still fixed on me, unblinking, and that blank stare sent chills through my spine. The carriage felt smaller now, even though I knew it wasn't. Each flicker of the dim overhead light seemed to stretch the shadows in odd ways. I told myself to relax, to act normal. I tried pretending to scroll through my phone, but the screen's glow only reflected his face, making him seem closer than he really was. When the train slowed for a small station, I thought about getting off, but the thought of running into him outside the carriage terrified me even more. I couldn't tell if he'd follow me off the train or wait calmly on the platform. Either option was bad. I slid my bag closer to me, gripping it tightly. Every subtle noise, the metallic screech of the wheels, the soft hum of the engine made me flinch. And then I noticed it. He had shifted slightly in his seat. Not a lot, just enough that I knew he was aware of every move I made. I realized, with a sinking feeling, that I was no longer just a passenger. I was part of his attention, and he had all the time in the world. There was no rush, no urgency, just me, him, and the long, silent journey ahead. The train slowed as it approached another station. The doors hissed open, and cold air rushed in. For a second, I seriously considered getting off. My legs even tensed, ready to move. But fear stopped me. I didn't know this area. I didn't know who might be waiting outside. The doors closed again. We kept moving. That's when I heard him shift behind me. Not loud, just enough for me to notice. The sound made my skin crawl. I stared straight ahead, refusing to turn around. My heart was beating so hard I was afraid he might hear it. A few minutes passed. Then, very quietly, heard footsteps. Slow ones, coming closer. He was walking down the aisle. I pretended not to notice, keeping my eyes glued to my phone screen. He stopped right beside my seat. I could feel him there. His presence was heavy, suffocating. I held my breath, waiting for him to say something. He didn't. After what felt like forever, he moved past me and sat down across the aisle, directly in my line of sight. He leaned back slightly and smiled. That smile made my stomach drop. It wasn't friendly. It wasn't curious. It felt deliberate, like he was enjoying this. I realized then that he wasn't following me by accident. This wasn't coincidence. He had chosen me, and whatever he wanted, he was taking his time getting to it. I finally decided I couldn't stay on the train anymore. My stop was still a few minutes away, but I didn't care. I needed distance between us. Space, air. When the train slowed at the next station, I stood up immediately. My legs felt weak, but I forced myself to move. I didn't look at him. I didn't want to give him the satisfaction. The doors opened. I stepped onto the platform. For a brief moment, I thought he'd stayed behind. Relief washed over me. Then I heard it. Footsteps. He stepped off the train, too. The platform was nearly deserted. One dim lamp flickered near the stairs. No staff, no other passengers. I started walking faster, breath shallow and uneven. I could hear him behind me, still calm, still unhurried. Halfway up the stairs, I glanced back. He was smiling again, wider this time. Panic hit me all at once. I ran, out of the station, onto the empty street. The shops were closed, their windows dark. I turned corners without thinking, just trying to stay where there were lights. His footsteps never sped up. That terrified me more than if he'd chased me. I ducked into a small 24-hour shop and stood near the counter, pretending to browse. A minute later, he walked past the window. He didn't even look inside. That night, I barely slept. For the next few days, nothing happened. No sightings, no messages. I tried to convince myself it was over. Just a creepy stranger, nothing more. Then my phone buzzed late one night. Unknown number. Why did you get off early? My hands went cold. I checked the message again and again, hoping I was misunderstanding it. I hadn't told anyone about the incident. There was no way he should have known. I didn't reply. I blocked the number. A week later, another message came from a different number. I liked watching you panic. That's when I stopped taking the train entirely. I changed my route home, started paying for taxis, even changed my work schedule. For a while, it worked. The messages stopped. Life slowly returned to something close to normal. Months passed. Then one night, while waiting for a bus, I felt that familiar weight in my chest. I didn't need to turn around to know. I could feel eyes on me. I glanced at the reflection in the bus shelter glass. Someone was standing behind me. I didn't wait to see his face. I ran. I moved apartments not long after that. Different area, different routine, new phone, new number. I told myself that was enough. That whatever game he'd been playing was finally over. For a long time, it seemed like I was right. Then one evening, as I was scrolling through my phone, a message popped up. Unknown number. I see you still avoid the trains. I felt sick. My chest tightened as memories rushed back. I didn't respond. I powered my phone off and sat in silence, listening to my own breathing. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound outside my window made me flinch. Every shadow felt wrong. I started noticing small things after that. A man standing too long across the street. Someone sitting behind me on public transport. Every time, I told myself it wasn't him. But the feeling never left. Fear like that doesn't fade. It settles in, becomes part of you. I learned to live with it. Even now, years later, I still avoid late-night travel whenever I can. I choose seats where I can see reflections. I sit near other people. I stay alert. Sometimes, when I'm on public transport and the lights dim, the windows turn into mirrors. That's when it happens. For just a second, I see someone standing behind me, still watching. I never turn around fast enough to be sure. Maybe it's just my fear. Maybe it's paranoia. Or maybe it's the same man, still playing the same game, still waiting. I don't know what he wanted. I don't know how he got my number. And I don't know why he chose me. What I do know is this. Some people don't want to hurt you right away. Some people just want you to know they could.